5 years ago, No Fever made every Venom reprint a high-dollar book. Rumors of the Illuminati debuting in Doctor Strange's sequel made New Avengers 7 explode, and the massive launch of Strange Academy and its entire class of new characters sent the collectors hunting down every book and variant.
July 2020 was one of the wildest, most uncertain times in modern comic books, but general history as well. You have to remember the world's grappling with a pandemic, comic shops has faced massive shutdowns, and Diamond, the main distributor from almost everyone, was just coming back online after a shocking 7-week halt that nobody had ever seen before. And as you expect, sales of physical comics had plummeted compared to the year before. Publishers were even calling it a fallow month. And even with all the logistic nightmares, creators and publishers still pushed through, getting around 300 new titles onto the shelves. The creative engine of comics just refused to shut down, which makes the books that got hot during this specific time even more fascinating.
We're at the Bronx Comic Anime Show, celebration of comics, manga, anime, wrestling, and much more. And here's your cover price top 10 rewind. Let's think back 5 years to 2020.
The world was in a very different place, and for many of us, collecting became a major focus. The comic market was absolutely nuclear. New characters, wild rumors, and movie hype sent prices for modern books into the stratosphere. It was a spectacular paradise. But what happens when the dust settles? We're going to look at the top 10 hottest books from that time, books that everyone was scrambling to get, and see where their values are today. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this content, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the Covrprice YouTube channel. Let's jump right into the list at number 10. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the debut that had everyone talking, Strange Academy number 1. 5 years ago, the first appearance of characters like Emily Bright caused a frenzy, with raw copies hitting $25 and CGC 9.8 soaring to an incredible $300. Fast forward 5 years and the market has shifted. Delays in the MCU and a shelved TV show have cooled the heat. While raw copies have actually climbed to an average of $43, high-grade slabs have dropped significantly to $158. With raw values up but graded values down, we're calling this a push. There's still appeal, but the market is patiently waiting for Marvel's next move.
Fascinating start to a list. A push like this tells a complex story. The fact that raw copies are worth more now, there's a solid collector base and real interest in these new characters. However, the drop to the 9.8 price shows that high-end speculative get-rich-quick money has moved on. To me, this is a healthy sign of books' long-term future. It's a real comic, not just stock certificate.
And number 9 is the second printing of Strange Academy number 1. This book also saw a surge in 2020, with collectors chasing the magic school theme. Raw copies peaked at $26 and graded 9.8s hit $125. 5 years later, this book has come down to earth. Raw copies now go for around $4, and a 9.8 will only set you back about $53. It's a cleared down market for this printing, though it remains a staple for series fans. The initial hype has faded, turning it from a quick flip into a reliable hold for those who love the story.
This is a classic example of what happens in subsequent printing during a period of intense hype. The demand for the first print spills over, artificially inflating the value of the second and the third prints. Once the market cools, these later printings are almost always the first to see a major price correction. For anyone who just wants to own the story and a cool cover, now is the time to buy this book for a great price.
At number 8, we have a true modern grail, the first appearance of Miles Morales in Ultimate Fallout number 4. 5 years ago, spurred by the success of Into the Spider-Verse, this book was on fire. Raw copies were around $300, and CGC 9.8s were averaging $822, with sales as high as $1,100. Today, the market for this key has settled a bit. Raw copies are slightly down at $286, and 9.8s average at $887, though we did see a peak sale of $4,500 in 2022. With over 4,300 graded copies, the supply has pushed regular edition prices down about 20% from their peak, but it remains an undeniable blue chip collectible.
You can't talk about modern keys without talking about this book. Even though we're marking it as a down, that's only relative to its absolute peak mania. An average price near $900 for 9.8 is incredibly strong. This book has proven it has staying power far beyond a simple movie pump. The massive number of graded copies is what's keeping the price from going even higher. It's a pillar of modern collecting, and it's not going anywhere.
7th spot goes to a horror book that got major Hollywood boost, The Empty Man number 1 from Boom Studios. A mention in the Hollywood Reporter about its film's premiere sent this book flying in 2020. Raw copies hit $20, and a 9.8 slab was selling for $110. 5 years later, the film has become a cult classic, but the comic's value has not followed suit. Raw issues are now valued at around $5, and graded copies are virtually non-existent on the market. With variants getting more attention, this premiere issue is solidly down, waiting for a potential reboot to rekindle the flame.
This is such an important lesson for collectors. A movie announcement will almost always cause a spike, but it's what happens after the movie that matters. Even though the film is well regarded by horror fans, it wasn't a box office smash, and the lack of mainstream success is reflected here. It shows that for comics value to be sustained, the adaptation needs to be a major cultural event.
At number 6 is a quirky DC gem, the B cover of Catwoman 23. This 2020 issue brought back the wild, drug-fueled villain Snowflame and introduced Catgirl. Speculators were captivated, driving raw copies to $23 and a graded 9.8 to $60. 5 years down the road, the joke has worn off. Sales have declined significantly, with raw copies now fetching at $7 and 9.8s at mere $14. While Snowflame's meme appeals keeps the radar for some, the value has fallen sharply, marking this issue a down in the post-pandemic market.
Snowflame is one of those wonderful, bizarre relics of the 80s, and his return was a lot of fun. This is a perfect example of a flash in the pan spec. The hype was based on novelty and a new character, Catgirl, who didn't really go anywhere. Once the novelty wore off, the value just couldn't hold. It's a fun book for collections, but the investment potential was short-lived.
Breaking into the top 5 is a classic DC issue, Crisis on Infinite Earths number 4. Rumors that Keanu Reeves would return and John Constantine sent collectors scrambling for his second appearance. Raw copies were selling for $10 and a CGC 9.8 hit $90. Now, 5 years later, that sequel is still stuck in developmental hell, no pun intended, with no confirmed release date. The hype has vanished. CGC 9.8 sales have plummeted to $33, and raw copies are valued at just $6. Sadly, this book is down for now, completely at the mercy of Hollywood news.
This is a case of pure, unadulterated movie speculation. The value of this book in 2020 had nothing to do with the comic itself, which is an iconic issue, and everything to do with a movie rumor. When a rumor stalls, the value dipped. This is a great book to own for its historic importance to the DCU. But if you bought it for an investment in 2020, you're definitely feeling the pain now. It's a reminder to be cautious when betting on rumors.
Our number 4 book is Venom 26, featuring the debut of the character Virus. In 2020, this book was on a tear, with raw issues peaking at $20 and graded 9.8s reaching $90. Today, that value has declined significantly. The character Virus didn't become a major player, and raw copies go for just $3 and 9.8s priced at $40. A slight blip in 2024 tied to the final Venom movie quickly faded, marking this issue as a down. It's now seen as an affordable key for symbiote fans, not a profitable flip.
The Donny Cates Venom run was legendary, and it created a ton of new characters. The market bet that every single one of them would be a huge hit. Virus was one of those bets that just didn't pay off. He looked cool, but he didn't have the staying power of a character like Null. This is a great lesson in character speculation. Not every new debut can be a home run. For fans of the run, it's a super cheap pickup right now.
The Catwoman craze continues at number 3 with the main cover for Catwoman 23. Driven by the introduction of Catgirl, this cover actually outsold its variant in 2020. Raw copies were priced at $33, while graded 9.8 copies sold for $65. Now, 5 years later, the book's value has significantly decreased, pushing this book firmly down. Raw copies are averaging just $12, and graded 9.8s are selling for around $40. This decline reflects a market shift from the initial 2020s hype in the more niche appeal among dedicated DC fans.
Just like its variant cover, the main cover of Catwoman 23 has come way back down. It's interesting that the raw price was actually higher than the variant back in 2020, showing the intense demand for this new character. But with both covers now seeing such a steep decline, it reinforces the point that the market has moved on. The long-term value just wasn't there beyond the initial speculative buzz.
At the runner-up spot at number 2 from July 2020 is New Avengers number 7, the first appearance of the Illuminati. 5 years ago, rumors of their MCU debut in Phase 4 caused a massive surge. Raw copies were hitting an incredible $80, and CGC 9.8s were selling for $180. Then in 2022, the Illuminati had a brief and messy cameo in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. After that, values declined significantly. CGC 9.8 copies are now valued at $51, and raw copies can be found for just $10. While this book is clearly in a down category, rumors of the Illuminati return in upcoming Avengers films could spark another rally.
This is the ultimate buy the rumor, sell the news comic book. The speculation drove it to insane heights. The actual appearance in the movie was a letdown for many, and the price corrected almost immediately. This book chart looks like a roller coaster. However, at $10 for a raw copy, this is an incredibly cheap bet on the future of the MCU. We know Marvel loves to bring concepts back, so this book could easily have another day in the sun.
And the number 1 hottest comic in July 2020 was Venom 25, the second print wraparound cover. Null Fever was at its absolute peak, and collectors were chasing any related reprint, driving raw copies to $29 and CGC 9.8s to an impressive $125. Fast forward 5 years, and the story is complicated. The final Venom movie underperformed and didn't boost Null's keys as expected. Consequently, a CGC 9.8 has fallen to just $20. Despite this, these early Venom prints continue to attract interest for their presumed rarity. But for now, this once hot book is definitely down.
What a ride for the Venom books. This second print was on the top of the world in 2020. That wraparound segment art is just a killer, and the market got flooded with Venom and no speculation, and the movie franchise ended with more of a whimper than a bang. A drop from $125 to $20 for a slab is a tough pill to swallow for anyone who bought it at top. It serves as a powerful reminder that even the hottest characters can experience market fatigue.
5 years after the 2020 comic boom, the market has clearly spoken. This look back reveals a landscape shaped by hype cycles and massive influence on media adaptations. Venom reprints, once scorching hot, now present buy and dip bargains. Illuminati specs like New Avengers number 7 cooled after their brief cameo, but new rumors keep them on life support. And modern debuts like Strange Academy has stabilized, rewarding patient holders over short-term flippers. The lesson is clear. In today's market, strategy and patience are key. 5 years after the 2020 comic boom, the market has clearly spoken. This look back reflects a landscape shaped by hype cycles and the massive influence of media adaptation. Venom reprints, once scorching hot, now presents buy the dip bargains. Illuminati spec like New Avengers 7 cooled after their brief cameo, but new rumors keep them on life support. And the modern debuts like Strange Academy has stabilized, rewarding patient holders over short-term flippers. The lesson is clear. In today's market, strategy and patience are key.
I hope you enjoyed this week's Top 10 Weekly Rewind and more great weekly comic content. Make sure to subscribe to your official Covrprice YouTube channel. They have the Top 10 Comics, the Shaker Report, and comics covered with co-founders Matt and John. And if you want to track the prices of these books and thousands of others, you need to check out Covrprice.com. It is the absolute best resource for real-time comic book sales data on multiple online marketplaces. See their current top 10 list and check out all the market movers and shakers. And don't forget to go to my channel, IzzyVerseNYC. Check me out in my socials at IzzyVerseNYC. And I'll see you next week.